The PG-13 rating just moved from Hollywood to your teen's phone. Is Instagram's AI smart enough to be a parent?
Welcome to Datalife, the podcast that dissects how technology shapes the choices we make. I am Biodun. Today, we are plunging into a story that's as urgent as it is controversial. Instagram's recent dramatic move to introduce PG-13 content standards for its teenage users. It sounds like a step towards a safer digital world, but as always with big tech, the data tells a more complex and frankly, a more alarming story. Let's rewind a bit. For years, the digital playgrounds of our youth platforms like Instagram have been under fire. Before this new PG-13 standard, Meta, Instagram's parent company, had what they called mandatory default protections for teens under 18. Think of it: private accounts by default, DMs only from approved followers, the most restrictive sensitive content settings automatically applied. Sounds good on paper, right? The reality is a stark contrast. Reports piled up, lawsuits followed, independent studies, some even leveraging former Meta whistleblowers, painted a damning picture. 64% of Instagram's acclaimed safety measures were found to be ineffective or just simply gone. What did that mean on the ground? It meant teenagers, despite their supposed safeguards, were still being bombarded with harmful content, sexual content, graphic violence, posts actively promoting self-harm and eating disorders. They were also still encountering predators. The platform's age verification systems were, to put it mildly, leaky sieves. It was a crisis of trust, a digital jungle for our kids, leaving them vulnerable to serious psychological and physical harm. Fast forward to October 14, 2025, Instagram announces its bold new policy, namely, all teen accounts by default will now be placed into an experience guided by PG-13 movie ratings. The idea is to make the app feel closer to the Instagram equivalent of watching a PG-13 movie. Strong language, risky stunts, content that could lead to harmful behaviors like drug use, all supposedly filtered out. Teens can't even open links to restricted content in DMs anymore. On paper, it's a significant tightening of the screws. But we ask, is this a genuine pivot towards safety by design? Or is it a very sophisticated PR strategy designed to fend off looming and aggressive regulations, which threatens to hold platforms legally accountable for teen safety? Let's dissect the workability of this new system. First, the very concept of a PG-13 global algorithm. How do you apply a culturally specific, primarily American movie rating system to a global audience? What is PG-13 in Lagos might be vastly different from what's considered PG-13 in London, Seoul, or Los Angeles. Can Meta's AI genuinely make these subjective cultural judgments at scale? Or will it overfilter, stifling innocent cultural expression, or underfilter, missing truly harmful content that doesn't fit a Western framework or description? Secondly, and also very crucial, is the position of the Motion Picture Association, the very body that defines PG-13. It has come out publicly stating that Meta's assertion is inaccurate and has no connection to the film industry's rating system. This isn't just a minor technicality, it's a direct challenge to the credibility of Meta's chosen benchmark. If the standard bearer for PG-13 disavows the comparison, what exactly is Meta's AI actually filtering for? Thirdly is the enforcement gap. If 64% of Meta's previous safety tools were ineffective, what magic bullet are they deploying now? Will their new AI systems suddenly become foolproof? The industry's track record with AI moderation often falls short when faced with sheer volume of harmful content. And finally, the perennial problem of age verification. All these filters and new standards ultimately rely on one thing: knowing a user's true age. If a 12-year-old can still easily lie about their age and access a completely unfiltered experience, then how effective can any of the new PG-13 policies truly be? So, what does this mean for the future of teen safety on the internet? It means we, the users, parents, policymakers, must remain deeply skeptical. While any moves towards greater safety is theoretically welcome, the data from past failures suggests that Instagram's PG-13 gambit might be more about managing public perception and regulatory pressure than delivering genuinely data-backed protection for our youth. Meanwhile, social psychologist Jonathan Haidt highlights the need to limit children's exposure to social media.
When you're 1, it's the walking and reaching. When you're 3 to 7, it's a lot of language. And social development is a little later, more like, 6 or 7 through puberty. Puberty is an incredibly important sensitive period for brain development. Kids enter puberty with a child's brain, too many neurons, not enough myelin, and they leave puberty with an adult brain, much more functional, now locked into place. So now much harder to rewire. So if you don't get it right during puberty, there's a good chance that this is going to be your setting for life. And that's why it is so important that we not have children on social media in puberty. Wait until 16. We have to have a minimum age of 16, let them get through puberty, because the social development, that happens on the playground. You're arguing, you're cooperating, you're making up. You do that thousands and thousands of times. You get a well-functioning social brain. But our kids are not doing that.
Similarly, a global market research and public opinion agency, Ipsos, recently conducted a survey which largely suggested increasing support for delaying access to social media for children. Of the 30 countries surveyed, an average of 71% said children under 14 should be banned from social media. That figure represented a 6% rise in the number from last year. Do you agree? What age do you think children should be allowed access to social media? Tell us in the comment section. Now to the news segment. YouTube has announced that it has paid $8 billion to the global music industry in 12 months between July 2024 and June 2025. The milestone marks a new record for the platform, as YouTube's annual music industry payout has increased by $2 billion since 2022. YouTube's global head of music, Leo Cohen, explained that the report isn't just about numbers, but represents their sustained growth and commitment to the global music industry. Amazon is reportedly leaning into automation plans that will enable the company to avoid hiring more than 500,000 US workers. Citing interviews and internal strategy documents, the New York Times reports that Amazon is hoping its robots can replace more than 600,000 jobs it will otherwise have to hire in the United States by 2033. This is despite estimating that it will sell twice as many products over the same period. Documents reportedly show that Amazon's robotics team is working towards automating 75% of the company's entire operations and expects to ditch 160,000 US roles that would otherwise be needed by as soon as 2027. In a statement, Amazon spokesperson Kelly Nantel said the leaked documents reflect the perspective of just one team and do not represent the company's overall hiring strategy now or moving forward. Nigeria witnessed cryptocurrency transactions exceeding $50 billion between July 2023 and June 2024. This is according to the Director General of the Securities and Exchange Commission, Dr. Emomotimi Agama. With an exchange rate of 1,500 naira to the dollar, the amount translates into 75 trillion naira, about two-thirds of the capitalization of the Nigerian equities market. Speaking at the annual conference of the Chartered Institute of Stockbrokers, Dr. Gama said the sheer volume of digital asset activity underscores the financial sophistication and risk appetite of Nigerian investors, a demographic the traditional capital market has failed to attract. Global PC shipments rose 8.1% year on year in the third quarter of 2025, according to preliminary figures from Counterpoint Research. This marks one of the strongest rebounds the PC market has seen in recent years, fueled by upgrade cycles, operating systems transitions, and strategic market shifts. The growth was primarily driven by the looming end of support for Microsoft Windows 10 in October 2025. The research estimates that roughly 40% of the current PC installed base still run Windows 10, underscoring how deeply the software transition is influencing hardware sales. The Global System for Mobile Communications Association, GSMA, is collaborating with major African telecom operators like MTN and Vodacom to develop a $30, about 44,000 naira smartphone. This initiative aims to increase 4G access and internet adoption by providing affordable devices to millions across Africa, currently prized out of the smartphone market. At the Mobile World Congress in Kigali, Rwanda, 6 telecom companies launched the GSMA Handset Affordability Coalition to develop affordable devices that meet basic modern internet standards. GCMA's Director General, Vivek Badrinath, said smartphones are not a luxury item, but a necessity for inclusion in today's digital world. The group has already designed a list of minimum requirements for the smartphone, covering storage capacity, battery life, display size, camera quality, and 4G support. Lydia, a Nigerian leading startup, has shut down owing to severe financial distress. The company raised approximately $16.4 million between 2017 and 2021, including an $8.3 million pre-Series B funding round. The development marks the end of a startup which showed potential in providing collateral-free loans to small businesses. The company, which raised significant funding and expanded into Europe, faced operational challenges and leadership issues that contributed to its downfall. Meanwhile, MoneyPoint, one of Nigeria's most prominent fintechs, has raised an additional $90 million to complete its Series C round 1 year after achieving unicorn status. MoneyPoint said the fresh capital will be used to power its next phase of growth and continued expansion across the continent and into international markets. Tinder, a popular dating app, has introduced a mandatory facial verification for new users on the platform. The feature, termed Face Check, is an attempt to curb the spread of fake profiles and acts of romance scams. According to a blog post by Tinder, the Face Check feature is the first of its kind facial verification that helps confirm users are real and match their profile photos. Tinder has already rolled out the feature in markets such as Colombia, Canada, Australia, India, and several countries in Southeast Asia. With the latest launch in the United States, Tinder plans to roll out Face Check globally in markets where local regulations permit. OpenAI is fighting a lawsuit alleging that the AI company is responsible for the death of Adam Rain, a 16-year-old in California, who took his life after extensive conversations with ChatGPT. Part of OpenAI's defense strategy, according to the Financial Times, was requesting that the family provide details of the teen's funeral. Lawyers for the family characterized the request as unusual and intentional harassment. Critics have also taken to social media to express disgust and bewilderment. Adam died by suicide in April this year. After discovering him dead in his room, the teen's parents found that he had carried out extensive discussions about his suicidal thoughts with his chatbot, which had provided him with information about suicide methods. We now move to the next segment, the quiz segment of the show. This is the question. Instagram recently updated its default content settings for users under 18. What well-known standard is now used to guide the type of content teens see on the platform? A. E for everyone. B. PG-13 movie rating. C. G for general audiences. Or D. TV-14 broadcast rating. And that's the much we have time for on this week's episode of Data Life. Remember to like the content, subscribe, and share with a friend. Thank you for your time. I am Biodun Dari.